you can update these things and fall in love again. Find out what they are. Welcome to Decorating Tips and Tricks. I'm Kelly Wilkness here with Anita Joyce. This is episode 326, 2 decor pieces to update and love again. And you can find the show notes for today's episode at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/326. You know, I love a good upcycle, even a repurpose. I also don't like to throw things out and have them land in landfills. And I like to decorate with what I have. So this episode is one I can for sure dig into. How do you feel about these things, Anita?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do like to repurpose things I have if I can. Now, sometimes it's just not going to work. But you know what? I mean, I think there's a lot of great ideas here. And I think most of what we're going to be talking about are things that I could actually do. Because some of these DIYs that I see some of these bloggers talk about, I think there's no way I'm doing that. There's no way I'm getting out the painter's tape. And like we were saying, that thing with the geometrical patterns on the wall, not doing that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, some of it, I mean, you know, I think that's great. And some people really want to dig out the power tools and all that. That, you know, that's not what we're about.
You're happy for other people.
I'm happy for others that do that. I do love my drill, and I feel kind of like powerful and sexy with my drill. But that's about as far as I'm going to go.
So you just get it out and kind of look at it.
No, I do use my drill.
I feel empowered now.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it back.
Yeah,
back in the holster.
Okay. I do use it, but that's about it. But you don't need to do any of those things for these two updates that we're talking about. And it's stuff that you either probably have and maybe it's a little tired and you're thinking about replacing it, or it's something that you see at thrift stores and estate sales and places like that you can get for a song. Because here's the thing, everybody, not everybody has the vision. Right? I mean, people say that to me all about my house all the time. Like, how did you have the vision you could do that? Well, you know, it's just like looking beyond what's there and seeing the potential. And I think everybody can do that. So you can do that with these two items.
Yeah, glad not everybody has it, because if they did, this stuff would never show up at the thrift store.
Right.
Never get it for $5.
Right. So all you guys are going to, you have it already, I'm sure, but we're going to just even tweak it up and give you some fresh ideas on it. But you all have the vision to transform a light fixture. So we're talking kind of like picture, you know, the brass, maybe kind of colonialish looking chandelier that, you know, you might just even see a pile of them at your local Goodwill. Or you might have one hanging in your house or in your apartment that you're renting or something like that. And the china cabinet. I mean, there's probably, I don't know, if you lined up all the china cabinets that are in thrift stores, you could probably go all the way across the country.
Well, when we're talking about lighting too, I actually went much broader than just a chandelier.
Whoa, so, okay.
Oh, yeah. So that was my approach to that. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we're going to jump in. We'll start with the lighting. So not just the chandelier that I was talking about, but a broader range of lighting fixtures. And then a shout out to Donna M, our listener and my gardening pal. Yeah, Donna was the person who inspired the china cabinet portion of this episode. And we also want to give a shout out to Connie F, also a longtime listener. Connie has transformed a china cabinet in a magical way. And she had sent us some photos a while ago sharing that transformation. Really great job. And Donna, thanks for the idea. I'm really excited to talk about all the options there. So since Anita went a little broader with the lighting, I'm going to toss it over to her. And why don't you start off?
Well, the first thing is to change out the lampshade. And I have some lamps that I've had for probably 20 years, and I'm on my third or fourth lampshade, and it just has given it a fresh look every time. So it's really so easy to change that out, and it really can give your old lamp such a great look. And if you're going to the thrift store and you see a lamp, usually the lampshade is not going to be something that you want, but sometimes the base is. I've gotten some beautiful gold gilded not French. They were Italian column type lamps. And then it just had an old frumpy shade, and I just changed it out and it looked gorgeous. So that's definitely something that you can do very easily.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. And even if you got silk shades, and you might have spent a lot of money on them, but right now they're kind of dated looking. Maybe you don't throw them out, because who knows? Maybe you'll want to use them again someday. But that kind of makes a lamp look a little older and not as fresh. So, change it out. Hyacinth woven shades or burlap shades, or I'm into these black shades now.
Yes, gorgeous.
They're
with
kind
the
of like a
gold liners.
cottony black. Yeah. And some of them have the gold liners. You can get one at Home Depot. It's a very nice size medium black lampshade, and they're $19.99. So that's where I've gotten a couple of those. So what I was talking about is more of that sort of chandelier type dated light fixture. So what I was thinking about that is spray painted. Duh.
Stop it.
Yeah. So you may not want to take it down and spray paint it. So you can definitely paint one of those while it's still hanging. So particularly if you're a renter or something like that, if you get the go ahead, hey, can I do this great thing and update this chandelier for you? If they say yes, but you don't want to take it down, or you don't want to pay an electrician, even if it's your own house, to take it down and put it back up, you don't. Obviously not going to want to spray paint it then, but you can go up there with a small jar of craft paints. Maybe you get 3 or 4 jars, or a small quart of paint, and you can just paint it with a brush. Of course, it's a little bit more effort. You're going to have to be up on a ladder and all of that. But if you can take it down and you can spray paint it, obviously put some tape on the areas that you don't want the paint to get on, like inside of where the bulbs go and all of that. And you can take those sleeves off. Oftentimes those type of lamps will have the plastic white sleeves that are kind of supposed to look like a candle.
Yes.
And if it wasn't an expensive chandelier, a light fixture to start out with, those are probably not in such great shape anymore, or maybe they're dusty. Maybe all they need is a good cleaning, but there are so many ways to update those candle sleeves. So say it's this shiny brass and you don't want that. So maybe you just even want to change it to sort of kind of an unlacquered brass look, or you want to make it a color, or you want to make it that matte black we've been talking about. That would completely change the look of this chandelier. And oftentimes, wouldn't you agree, Anita, like the lines of those chandeliers are perfectly fine. They're pretty. There's, usually not too much going on, but there might be, kind of like a nice flow of the arm down to where the light bulb goes in. And they're usually just, a good size, like a mid-size. So just updating them a little bit can really go a long way. So you can get these new sleeves. You can get ones that are resin that actually even look like candles. Or you can go to a real extreme and get ones that have like a pattern on them. There's a company that I found online, chandelierparts.com, and I'll put the link in the show notes. They have every type of sleeve that you can imagine.
I actually did that on some old sconces of mine, and it was in our old house, the one we had to move from because otherwise I'd have to paint it.
You have to paint it, yeah.
Right. Gorgeous. It really made a huge difference. And I think there was some real wax in them. And well, for one thing, the cheap sleeves are shiny and they look like PVC. Mm-hmm. But the ones we're talking about look like real candles. I mean, they're waxy. They're kind of a creamy white. Sometimes they have some drippings on the side, and it really, they really look stunning. I think it's definitely worth considering if you want to upgrade your, chandelier.
Oh yeah, they actually look like candles. And then these other ones, which is a whole different thing. I mean, obviously they don't look like candles. There's a pattern on them and stuff. So you'd be really surprised of the ones that they have. You could get solid colors or ones with patterns, geometric patterns, florals, even there. You see even one with skull and crossbones. Like I would not be able to use that in my house, but there might be a way to work that in somewhere. But they have
not over here, but
not over here,
maybe somewhere else.
But it's good to. I mean, it's good to know it exists. Mm-hmm. So it's chandelierparts.com. You can head over there and check them out, and they have all kinds of parts. Also, the bulbs can
Well,
make
can we
such
go
a
back
difference.
to the paint?
Sure.
While you're talking about paint, I wanted to bring up the fact that you can do the same thing to a lamp, because there's so many lovely lamps, but maybe the colors are wrong. I bought a lamp secondhand from a friend of mine. It was a very expensive lamp that she had paid for it, and it was kind of a gold. I felt like it was a little too brassy looking. So I painted over it with a matte black and changed out the shade. She came back over and she said, "Can I buy it back?" And I said, "Of course not. But you've already sold it to me." She said, "Why didn't I think
buy
of
it back
that?"
for more?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I paid a nice amount for it though.
Okay,
yeah. So she was well paid.
Good.
Yeah.
But
So
see,
don't
she
think.
she didn't have the vision.
No, she didn't. So yeah. So I mean, not just chandeliers, but think about lamps. If they could be painted, and the same thing goes. You want to cover up anything that you don't want paint on. You want to cover up with that painter's tape, and including the cord. And you can obviously spray it on or paint it on. I used a paintbrush, but yeah, spray paint works too.
Yeah, I've definitely done that with lamps over the course of time, like a lot of lamps, because I like to really buy thrifted lamps. I have a hard time with lamps. I think we should do a lamps episode too, because I found a lot of great lamps. It's all about the shape with the lamp, right? And so if you can see a lamp at a thrift store and it's a great shape, but it's a really horrible color or it's banged up, it's chippy or something like that, whether it's ceramic or metal, you can change the color so easily and give it a whole new life, just like we're talking about with this chandelier. And the chandeliers, what also gives them their look and charm, or lack thereof, is the bulbs that you use and whether or not you put those little shades on. So that can really transform, even if you just have one of these.
So you're suggesting adding shades to a chandelier?
Well, I'm not necessarily suggesting adding them. I'm saying it's a way to really alter the look. So it's
an option.
Right. You may have one of these chandeliers with the shades on them over your dining room table, and maybe you've had it there for 15 years. Well, maybe it's time to look at it and say whether or not you really want those shades anymore.
So if it doesn't have shades, maybe put them on, and if it has them, maybe take them off.
Exactly. But sometimes the shades in and of themselves date the fixture. So it might just be that the fixture's fine, but the shades have little roosters on them or something. Or, they're not really going with the direction of the rest of your decor now. Maybe they're a little too, froofy or something like that. Maybe if you switch them out to like a little woven shade or something like that. Yeah, they even have, who's a great source for those is Ballard Designs. They have such a breadth of, they have, the traditional little silk ones. They have different shapes. They have little squared ones, and they even have them in animal prints. They're really charming. And I think the price point is very good. I've purchased those from them years ago, and it was very pleased with the quality. So yeah, I would definitely probably like Lamps Plus might have them too, but I really think that Ballard Designs has the best selection as far as different patterns and whatnot.
Definitely. Another thing that I've seen and I was tempted to use, I haven't tried these yet. If you have the can lights, there's some sort of thing that plugs in where the light bulb goes, and then it has a drop down pendant light. Have you seen those? So it converts.
I have, and I've never used that either, but it comes with a whole converter kit and all that.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's definitely an option if you're wanting a different look. And we actually had a can light in our house that I converted to a chandelier, and I had some sort of conversion kit that I had to use when we converted it. But then at the end of the day, I hired somebody to do it though.
Well, here's what I was going to say this in the beginning and I forgot. When you're updating a light fixture, and particularly if you're purchasing it at an estate sale or thrifting or something like that, err on the side of caution, particularly if the wire has any sort of frays or it really looks old. You might want to take it to a local lighting shop and even just ask them to give it the once over and let you know if it's safe. I've done this. Some of them I've had to have rewired, and then you want to figure in, hey, I spent $7 on this lamp, but it's going to cost me $50 to have it rewired. Do I love it that much? Or could I just go buy a new lamp and I'm not going to have any worries? So, it is electrical. if you're not familiar with how to take a chandelier down and get it back up right, then don't attempt that on your own.
Mm-hmm. And I bought a gorgeous chandelier that kind of with gold on it. Not real gold, but you know what I mean. Not shiny brass, but it was definitely kind of a subdued kind of goldish look at Round Top a few years ago. And I bought it to use, and it was actually straight from Europe. So from some old, house there. And so I did take it to a guy here in the Houston Heights at August Antiques, and they have somebody there that's really good at converting it to the US, to work on the wiring here. So yeah. Also,
right. Yours was, it was.
Yeah. So make sure it's right. Because it's possible, depending on where you got it, that it might not even be appropriate for, your country, depending on where the light fixture is from.
Right. So if you have a chandelier or a light fixture like that with the little shades on it, you take the shades off and you like the cleaner look without the shades, then you're going to want to think about the bulbs. Now there are some options. Usually there are the smaller chandelier type of bulbs, and some of them have that candle top and some of them just have the rounded top. There's also a style called prismatic, which kind of is very reflective and looks nice with chandeliers that do have some crystals on them already. And there are even satin string wrapped bulbs. Which,
I saw those online, but I haven't seen them in person.
I had never seen them in person either. So I guess that really would diffuse the light nicely.
It sounds nice, but it also sounds like it might just kind of burn that thread on it. But
I don't know. I mean, if it's a bulb, it mustn't. I mean, that's what it's made for, right? It's not like you took a bulb and wrapped some twine around
somebody
it.
Did.
I know, but it's kind of like one of those things you just have to trust in the universe. Like, I mean, who's making that? Like, there's like somebody had to test this somewhere. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm totally not. But I always know like how normally things have to work, and
use at your own risk.
Being the lawyer in me says, somebody tested that somewhere. Like it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if anybody has tried those or has those now, let us know. The satin string wrapped bulbs were kind of intriguing to me. Now, I don't know if you would not put a little shade over that because that might mess up the satin. So I guess it would just be that it's exposed that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
you
would
see
think
it. So. What do you think about, burning question of our time, what do you think about that candle topped little bulb? Or do you just prefer the more pointed, roundy part?
Say it again. What do you say?
You get the chandelier bulbs, and some of them have the candle top, which kind of goes to the side a little
those.
bit.
Yeah, that's what I have on mine. I like those.
Or the other ones is pointy, but yet rounded at the top, but just sort of straight up.
I like the one that kind of curves over a little bit better.
You're the curver girl.
I'm a curver.
I think I go the other way. I swing the other way on that one.
What a surprise. We're a little different, but that's fine.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. We got it all covered here then. Yeah. Well, and some are frosted and some are clear.
Yeah, I don't do the frosted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I prefer the clear, but sometimes I can't find it and I end up with the frosted. So
yeah,
I know, which is you're really not supposed to mix them on the same light, but sometimes I'm desperate and I do. So, yeah, well.
I wish I didn't know that about you.
I'm sure you do.
I mean, if anybody else feels the way I do right now, I feel a little betrayed because I can't believe she does that.
Not on purpose. I'm just saying it has happened on occasion because that's all Because
you have 7 non-frosted and 1 frosted.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like it. That's right.
No,
but
it doesn't feel good.
I'm going to go check it right now.
Yeah.
Can you just hold on a second? I'll be back in a minute.
I hope you do. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, so I think, that really just changing the color and changing the bulbs and shades on, shades off. Whoa. If you guys can look around, because we did. I mean, I was blown away at some of these transformations that you're seeing on the internet. And like we're saying, it doesn't involve power tools and it doesn't involve, having 10,000 2x4s dropped off in your yard and making something. It's really simple. It's a can of spray paint or a little jar of paint and a little bit of time. And the first thing it is just a little bit of time looking and deciding, because it, again, is particularly if it's hanging, it's something that's probably been there for a while and you maybe haven't given it another look, like a real hard look in a long time. So take a look at your lighting and see how you're feeling about it. And you don't have to toss it in a landfill. You can update it in the ways that we've suggested.
Yeah, and then back to the lamps again. If you're changing out the lampshades, sometimes you can't get exactly the same size as what you had, and it's a little taller or a little shorter. And just know that if you can find a good lamp store, you can adjust the harp size, and then there's an extender you can put on the top so that it does fit just right on your lamp. So you can make adjustments with that harp. And then, and then also the finial. Sometimes you can play around with those and do something fun with a different finial.
Oh, yeah. Those little touches really make a big difference. Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off. Yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Okay, let's make over those china cabinets. We have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of them out there. And a lot of them need a refresh.
I know. There's so many, and there's such a variety of looks and issues with them. Because, why somebody doesn't like their hutch really changes one hutch to the other is what I'm saying. Because sometimes it's the color.
Well, first of all, you don't even like the hutch work. So we could just call it a china cabinet. Let's just stick with it.
Well, I know I'm fine with hutch.
But that's not what the title is. The title is we're talking about china cabinets.
Okay, it's all right. It's the same thing. All right. Okay, so it's the coffee table. China cabinet.
Not a coffee table.
You got me thrown all off here. I'll kill her.
Put the wine down.
I know.
What time is it in Houston?
It's like I'm not even drinking anything. That's the worst part about it.
This was inspired by, as I mentioned, Donna M Thanks Donna. If hopefully you haven't gotten to updating a china cabinet in your house yet, because we've got some great ideas for you, but I'm sure you had some wonderful inspiration on your own. But hey, if you raise your hands if you have one of those china cabinets. And you probably do. Or someone left you one, or someone wanted to leave you one. And maybe it went along with their cherry dining room table. Or maybe you're going to a thrift store and you're like, oh, that whole section where all those china cabinets go to die is over there. You know, like,
that just sounds so sad.
But they do.
Okay.
Right? Nobody wants to.
All right. Are we ready for my first idea?
Yeah, bring it.
Can I say this? What about going topless? I mean, a lot of these pieces are 2 pieces. So if you decide you don't want the hutch look, what about sometimes the top is just sitting on top of the bottom. And then other times it's actually bolted together on the back. So you might have to get your power tool out just to unscrew it.
Oh, you drill
might do it. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, just to unscrew that bolt and then take that off. And then you've got a whole fresh new look. What about that?
Well, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so it's one option.
Right. So then you've got some sort of either break front or a piece that you could use in your entryway. And probably it's got some drawers and a cabinet. Yeah. And you just break it apart. I mean, you know, it wasn't a china cabinet other than me jokingly calling it an altar. I really don't know what that gigantic piece of furniture was intended for in my living room, but that's what I did. But I ended up not using the bottom. I used the top and I attached it to the wall in the barn. So yeah, breaking something apart can give it a whole new life.
And actually what we did at our mountain house that we rented, it's a vacation rental most of the year. I have a huge buffet that's an antique in there. I don't have a china cabinet, but then separately I had bought a pine wall shelf or cabinet or hutch, whatever you want to call it. And it's 2 separate pieces. And so I just kind of have that above it, because it's not one piece and because it wasn't meant to go together and because they're antiques, it looks fine. So, I mean, that's another option is, maybe you can get a piece if you want the display. You could even maybe just switch it out. Maybe you find somebody else with another hutch and y'all can switch tops. Maybe that'll do. I don't know.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Well, here's a thought. If you're going to take them apart, if they do come apart, and if you decide to take them apart, usually if they're together, the front is pretty flush. Obviously there might be knobs and things like that, but there's usually maybe just a piece of molding that's sort of separating the top from the bottom. But what you could do is either take them apart and put a piece of either stone or a thicker piece of wood in between them. And so as to make it more of like a counter. So this could work in a kitchen. Idea. Mm-hmm. Or make it kind of like a desk. If the bottom part has drawers or cabinets, if you're sitting there with a chair there, obviously you can't open them at the same time you're sitting there, but it could still really function pretty well, particularly if you put things in there that you're not having to get at all the time. So you could come out, almost make it like a secretary, but where there's the piece that is the horizontal piece, like the desk part is always there, or use that in a kitchen. So that was one thought that I had about just making it something that could function a little bit more with a counter.
I love the idea of putting a countertop on it. I think that would be fantastic, especially if you could get that top part up so that you have full use of that countertop space. That would be fantastic.
Right. Well, there you go. That's because I was thinking of just sort of sandwiching them back, but you're absolutely right. Right. If you put that against a wall and then you were able to bolt the, this what would be like the display part, the top part to the wall and maybe do that maybe 12 to 16 inches apart, right? So then you could actually have a lot of space there to use it as a counter in a kitchen.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what we did. And I'll link to it in the show notes, what we did, because it is, we do have full use of that countertop of the bottom piece. So yeah, that might be some option for you where you could separate the two, or at least just cover up, the top. So it could be used for a countertop, the part that's not covered by the top piece. Another thing that you can do is to take the doors off the top if you want a completely different look. I mean, really, that's what I'm saying. It really kind of depends on what your hutch looks like and what your china cabinet, looks like and what your issue is with it. Because if the problem is you don't like the stain, maybe it's the golden oak and you're kind of over that, You can paint it, of course. And I've seen some amazing transformations. If you paint it, don't just limit yourself to the thought of painting it white. I've seen some gorgeous ones painted a rich blue, a dark gray, some other colors. I've even seen some things done where it's a soft blue with gold leaf gilding in certain, on the accent pieces. So there's really a lot you can do with paint. But if the problem is maybe it's already painted, but you say, you know what, I really don't like the way the doors look, take them off and see what you think about that. Or another option is just to leave the doors open. I've seen that done very nicely. And then, the focus is on the things that are displayed in there.
Yeah. I think the problem with these things, it's a really useful piece of furniture, particularly if you have a formal dining room or you have a butler's pantry or a big enough kitchen that you could slide one into. It holds a lot of stuff. It's a great place to put, obviously dishes. It's also a lovely place to display some of your favorite things. So, I was thinking, well, what is the problem with these? Like, why are there so many of them at thrift stores? What is it about them that people don't like? I'm thinking that they came oftentimes in a matchy set of dining room furniture, table, chairs, maybe a break front and a china cabinet, and you're picturing it sort of in the cherry or the golden oak. So the fact that they came as this set and people aren't living that way anymore, they kind of got broken up. Maybe the table is being used, but then it was like, I don't need this thing, get this out of here. Or I just don't like the finish. I don't like the stains, and someone didn't have the vision. So off it went to the thrift store. Or it just seems like a little bit of like an old ladyish type of piece of furniture, but it isn't. It can really have new life. So if you have one, and even if you didn't want to paint it, maybe there's just a way to take all the stuff out of it that you've got in there and put a new fresh looking collection or start to build a new collection. Maybe you do something very monochromatic, or you do something in tarnished silvers or something like that.
All
so just really change the look of what's
great.
Yeah. All white, something that's just different than what you have. Because sometimes what goes in there is like, a Yadro and a Hummel and a this and a that, and, a picture of somebody or an award or something. Like, it just becomes this place where you put something that's sort of special, but you don't know what to put in it. You don't know where to put it. So you put it in there.
Right. I think it needs to be a collection that makes sense. And it can be dishes. It can be a collection like you've got your white ironstone pitchers and creamers. I think that would be beautiful if you just stuck to ironstone. I think the thing is, the design world has gotten away from the idea of a china cabinet in a dining room. So it's not that you can't have one, but I think just the old, what we used to think of, what you'd put your china in there and it's in the dining room and it's stained and everything.
And you take it out on Christmas.
Right. So I think some way of mixing that up a bit, taking the doors off, opening the doors, painting the piece, changing out what's displayed in there. You could do old books in there even would be a fun look. So another thing, I love the look of a china cabinet with all white dishes. And then the back of it is painted a dark color, where those white dishes really pop against the back.
Yeah.
So here's a couple ideas for creating that look. One is to paint the back of your china cabinet, some color that is going to pop next to whatever you're putting in front of it and is different from the rest of the china cabinet. But if you say, I don't really want to do that, I don't want to, some people say, I feel like I can't paint it. So another thing you can do is cut some boards the size of the back, and then wrap them with fabric or wallpaper, or just paint them, and then you just push them in the back and just cut them to size. And I'm thinking of that poster board or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, something that's gonna stay in place back there. Yeah, so there's a lot of options, and you can use fabric on them, or like I said, paint or whatever.
That's smart. You could also add beadboard. You can buy a beadboard panels at Home Depot or Lowe's, and you could have it cut and sort of snap it in there. I mean, so
there's
if you have shelves,
wallpaper too.
There is. If you have shelves and they're fixed, that might be a little bit more of an issue. But, particularly if the piece is not all that expensive, it might have some screws in the back where you can actually take the back right off.
Oh, to paint it.
Right. So even if the shelves are fixed, you might be able to just look in the back and you might just be able to take off some screws and then do whatever you want to do to the back and then put it on. And that would be easier.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Right. And then say you wanted to we love dishes and displaying them. If you're stacking them, that looks great too, but maybe you don't want to have them all stacked. Maybe some of them you want to have stand up. And so maybe there's not a little ridge or something inside the china cabinet to help you do that, and you're afraid they're going to fall out. You can do one of those things where they have the little piece of wood that goes across. So if you took the doors off and then you just kind of had the little barrier wood that came across, so you don't have to worry about your things slipping off. That's kind of like an older world look. It's kind of charming. Another thing that you can do is make it into a bar.
Oh, great idea.
Say if you had 3 shelves or something like that, you might want to take the middle shelf out because the bottles and whatnot would be taller, but you can make it kind of like this, Wet Bar has this kind of groovy 70s sound to it. So, but almost like a china cabinet / bar cart. And so have your bottles and then glasses and then maybe a pretty silver ice cube holder and some, lovely things like that in there. And that could be really pretty and useful in a dining room if you entertain that way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about how you use the room and what kind of entertaining you do in there. And maybe think about putting things in there that makes sense for how the room is used. So if you're serving drinks in there, like Kelly said, you can put, make it into a bar, or maybe if you're serving, a lot of tea and luncheons there, you could have Perrier bottles in there, or Topo Chico bottles and glasses and an ice bucket and things like that. And maybe just a few, salad plates that you use, so put some silverware in there that you're using in that room. I think there's a lot that you could do just to kind of, mix it up a little bit. And that's what we're really talking about, is to not go with the traditional look of a china cabinet. I think anything you can do to mix it up is going to help make it feel more in step with today.
Yeah. And if you don't like the glass, maybe you take the glass out. Maybe the glass is just insets and you can take them out and you can do the real farmhousey look, and you could do the chicken wire and whatnot, or you could do that kind of the radiator cover meshing that I purchased, which really can have a very modern look. I have it in the gold, and that's how I made my returns for my air and AC.
I still need to do that.
Yeah, you need to do that. Somebody emailed us about that a couple of weekends ago, and I was taking pictures for her in my house showing her how to do that. But that's very simple and can really completely change the look. And that would also hide what you had in there. So say storage is an issue and you want to keep stuff in there that you really don't want to see, but you want it to be pretty on the outside. You could do that. You could add tiny little cafe rods on the inside and put fabric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Inside under the glass. That could be great.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
And then you could change that out.
Yeah, and then you could actually use it for whatever you wanted in there. It doesn't have to be pretty storage if you do the fabric behind the glass doors. I think that's a great idea.
Right. And I think it's a piece of furniture that many people are accustomed to associating with, an older look, a more formal look. So I do think it's really fun to paint it a real pop color.
Well, and I liked your beadboard idea because that also takes away that formality from it and makes it feel very casual.
Right.
And I've seen china cabinets used. People have so here's another idea. You don't have to use it in your dining room. You can put it in your study, paint it, and put your books in it. And use it for, study type things. It doesn't have to be in your dining room. So think about ways you might use it somewhere else.
Right. Because as we said, it really is, when you think about it, a very useful piece of furniture. It can do so many things. Oftentimes it's tall. So it also is a great piece to have in a room where you need a little height. Okay, so let's think about the shelves. Oftentimes they're shelves. Sometimes they're glass, which, can be very nice, particularly if you are using it for a more traditional reason, but maybe you switch it out.
Or if it's lighted, it's nice to have the glass shelves.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's true. But maybe you feel like that's too formal for you. And so you can obviously make the shelves wooden. You could wrap the shelves in burlap and
them.
You
could paint them even though it's glass.
Paint them. Oh, yeah, you could paint them even though it's glass. But if you made them wooden or they were wooden, you could obviously paint those. You could wrap those in the self-sticking new type of wallpapers. You could wrap it in a fabric. You could wrap it in burlap. You could put nail studs along the edge, that you're seeing. You could do all kinds of cool stuff.
Well, and the other thing you could do, talking about all of that, is a lot of these doors have insets in them. You could put wallpaper on the front of it, on the front of the doors, and even on the front of the glass in the front.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of fun things you could do.
If it's I can't stop myself now. I'm like, if it's a sunnier room, or like, say if you always wanted, like a potting table or something like that, and you get this china cabinet. I probably wouldn't put it outside because you're going to go through some effort to create it. I know you did, but say you did what we talked about in the beginning, and you just lifted the two pieces up and you slid a nice sized wide board in between. So you created this sort of exterior shelf or desktop, if you will. So they're not separated. It's all one piece, but it's now got this sandwiched between it. And then you took the doors off, and then the shelves inside, you put, some of your terracotta pots, and maybe a pretty container with your gardening gloves in it. And then maybe you had
it makes sense on
some
the porch,
seed packets.
See?
Yeah. And so you could make it something like that. Like, maybe you put that even inside your garage could be cool. And then you have a little potting station. Maybe if you don't, if you really got it on the cheaps, which believe me, you can at these thrift stores, maybe the bottom drawers, like you have a bucket and you have potting soil in there. Donna, are you liking that idea? Donna's a big gardener.
Oh my goodness.
So she might like that idea.
Potting shed. I think that's I love that idea.
Okay, I gotta go because I know I saw a china cabinet in my favorite thrifty last week.
Okay, yeah. Well, now just one more thought though. Let's say
I'm joking. I'm not gonna leave.
I know. Just hold on a second before you gotta go. Well, one more thought. I don't know. Maybe you have a bunch more ideas, but if none of this appeals to you, if none of this sounds exciting to you, and none of this feels like it's going to work for you, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to say goodbye to it.
Good point.
So, we're trying to come up with ways to save it for you. But if none of these work for you, then, think about that. And that is something you can bless somebody else with it, send it to a thrift store, consignment store.
Right. And just give them the link to this
episode.
And then they'll get all these great ideas, and then they can do that to your china cabinet, and then you'll go visit them. And you'll be like, oh, can I buy my china cabinet back?
I know.
One more thing that we didn't touch on is the hardware.
Oh, yes.
Simply changing the hardware can make a tremendous difference. And certainly painting it and changing the hardware. This is what Connie F did. And when she sent us these fabulous pictures, the hardware that she used on this china cabinet, it was blingy and fabulous and totally changed the look of it. So that could be a weekend. You paint it, prime it, paint it, change the hardware. And of course, please check out D Lawless, our decorating tips and tricks sponsor and favorite online hardware source. Or if you live in the Chicago, Illinois area, you could even go there in person. And they have fabulous hardware that is made in the USA. They also have a lot of salvaged pieces so you'd have almost one of a kinds for your special new piece. Now, I guess you call it, do you still call it a china cabinet after we've done all these transformations?
Well, it depends on what it's being used for. But I'm going to add on to what you just said. If you were painting it, I definitely would change out the hardware. Go ahead and just get a completely new look. And so definitely, give our friends D Lawless a call or, find them on the internet. You don't need to call them because they've got some great stuff for you. Yeah, call it what you want. Because really, the sky's the limit.
Just call it your own.
Well, I mean, it's just, you're only limited by your own creativity. Go on Pinterest and you can search for china cabinets that have been updated, and you'll see so many amazing transformations. And I think that would also be a great place to find some great ideas.
Oh, yeah. And then like what happened here, you'll have one idea and then all of a sudden it'll slide into something else. And obviously, where you could use a piece like that. And, Anita gives very great advice and very practical advice too. If this doesn't sound good to you and you've got one of these and you just don't want it, pass it on. Don't force it and try to make it work.
In sending it on.
Yeah.
Out the door.
Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh, so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
So this was our listener question because this whole segment was inspired by Donna. So we're not going to have another question today, but we do have some crushes that we would like to share with you.
Yes, and for me, this is the second go-round. I'm watching the show Miranda on Hulu, but I think it may be on Amazon Prime. I can't remember the other place it's on, but it's available a couple of places. I've watched it all the way through before, and I'm watching it again. It's a BBC comedy about this comedian, Miranda, who, has had some setbacks in life and things usually don't go very well for her pretty much every day. So it's very, very funny. If you like British comedy, you'll love it. So check that out.
Miranda. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Okay. Well, my crush is a travel book that I'm reading, and I'm reading it because we're going to London and Paris this summer.
And
I'm so excited.
Oh my goodness.
So I picked up this book.
And I was not invited. I'm just going to say.
No, I'm sorry. Well, it's started because my daughter's going to be in London for a little bit.
Oh, that's right.
Right. And then we're going to go and join her. And then we're going to go to Paris.
Why not?
I haven't been to Paris in a very long time. And so I'm super excited. So I picked this little book. It's called 500 Hidden Secrets of Paris. Oh. And so it has things obviously off the beaten track and that you might not know about in all the areas. And what I like about it is like 5 of the best vintage stores, 5 of the best greengrocers, the 5 best bakeries. So it's not really overwhelming, and they break it down so you could actually just, sort of cherry pick what you're interested in. And then you get 5 selections of things that are not going to be on the normal tourist track. But what I found out about this book is that it's actually a series of books, and they have it for almost every city imaginable. And they said to check them out on Instagram, and I did. And that's when I realized, they have Copenhagen and Amsterdam and all these cities. So if you're traveling or you're hoping to, it might be a great resource. So I pass it on. It's really easy read. And I think it's also something small enough you could actually just chuck it in your purse and take it with you as you're traveling about the cities.
Oh my goodness. What a great idea. Oh, you were going to have so much fun. And we took Evie to Paris when she graduated from high school. It was so fun. You're going to have a blast.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. And I lived in London for...
yes, that's right. You did.
Yeah, for a year or so. And so I'm excited to go to London. I've been back there quite a number of times since then, but I haven't been to Paris in a very, very long time. So yeah, I'm super excited, you guys.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I'll have to think about some of the fun things that we did. Or places we went.
Yeah. If anybody has any tips, that would be great.
Send them.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Send them for sure.
It's always fun hanging out with you, Kelly. And you who are listening, we're so glad you spend your time with us. We appreciate it so much. We want to hear from you because we love including you in the podcast. We want to hear your tips. We want to hear your ideas. We want to hear about your episode idea suggestions and your questions. We'd be happy to answer those. So please send them in to decoratingtipsandtricks@gmail.com. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.